Alright, got a trade that just happened. I've been waiting for the setup. There's been quite a good consistent resistance on this line. I set up a alert if it crossed that resistance here. It didn't, so um, anyways, I took the conservative route and actually entered in a bit short. I thought it was this morning it was going down, so I entered it around at this point here, um, which was 3,100 around, and it picked up again. Wanted to do a retest on this resistance level here, so I can see it did it basically 3 times, 1, 2, and 3. Um, and on this round here, it crossed the Bollinger Band on the 3rd-hour timeline. That's why I took that position. You can see on the 3rd-hour timeline, it crossed it. At my time, the RSI was already at 100, so it's pretty. Sorry, the stock RSI was already at 100, so it was overbought. The MACD was losing momentum, so I basically entered at that point, which was good because the divergence was coming in close. We had good momentum already, and that's when I came in at this point. I didn't wait till the MACD was going red on the 3rd hour. I usually do that on the 1 hour, but it was also losing momentum on the red at this one. So I was just, there wasn't much activity between here and here. Ideally, I could have set up the position to buy in at this point when it crossed again this Bollinger Band. So in saying that, I took a bit of a loss in the beginning, but I was pretty, confident that it wouldn't just keep going up, because if we look at the weekly, look how strong that downward motion is. It was a resistance here at 47,576, and the RSI stock RSI wasn't even at 100. This massive volume trade here and here that happened just last week, the biggest volume trade in history. Ideally this would have been the turning point. You got to squeeze here. I was honestly waiting for the turning point to hit outside that Bollinger Band, but this tells me that this was a turning point where the bull market just crashed. Essentially, there was not enough momentum to drive that price action up to 56. So that's when I basically took all my coins out and just waiting for it to turn over again, and now just hedging my returns with futures. So I took a bit of a loss learning the price action from the 28th of March until today. I had to readjust my strategy with the 3rd-hour timeline. So we can see here, since the 28th of April, if we look at the 3rd-hour timeline on the stock RSI, basically just waiting until it goes to 100. That's when I'll have my alert on. So I'll start watching the market. When is the best time for an entry? That entry is ideally when that crosses the Bollinger Band. But as you can see here, it didn't. It just went up to 96. It didn't have enough momentum to come up and just decided to crash down. It happened again here. It went up to 97.90. Happened again here. Didn't cross. Kept going down. Didn't cross over till here, but I was just waiting for it to cross to 100 on the stock car side, but it didn't. So I lost that trade and entered way too late. Lost about half my savings on what I had. So, you know, I've just had to change my strategy to looking at the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 1 hour timelines to see when that reversal is going to happen. I came in. I want to say I came in at this point. I really thought it was going to keep going down, so this is when I made my trade at 29,900. It picked all the way up, and I knew it was going to hit another resistance, which was here. So I put in a price to increase my margin at 30. If the price reached 34.75, and it did, which helped my initial investment go up. So it was a big help because it drove the price down eventually. And I want to explain how I knew why it was smart to come in. So looking at the 1 hour, you've got, if you zoom in, on this one. This is the point where it crossed the 3 hour, right? So what I'm looking at is a higher low on each point that it crosses, or close to crossing the Bollinger Band. It didn't quite cross here. It had to make the cross later, but I jumped the gun, came in early. Anyways, the momentum was still going down. The divergence was at 55.8. Here was 44.5. You can see on the RSI was 64.8, and before it was 69. So it is losing momentum. The MACD was losing momentum as well. Those are all check marks. It happened where the RSI did reach a new high to 100 on the initial pump up. Second pump up, third didn't quite make it, but it did cross the Bollinger Band. So I basically wait till the RSI just loses value a bit. I look at the divergence. It has to lose value a bit, meaning it's this trend here on these new highs. The price here has to be higher than the first pump up. If the second entry here, so this mountain has to be higher than this mountain on the price. On the divergence, it has to be lower than the first one. So this mountain has to be higher than the second one. This means that there's not enough momentum. You can see that happens also on the RSI at these points here. The first mountain is higher, the second one isn't. That's pretty strong. It doesn't even reach the indication that it's overbought, meaning there's a bear market. So that's another indicator. But here it's just pretty blatant. If you look at the 5 minute, it doesn't really follow that rule with the divergence. I tend to look at on the lower time frames. It's easier and more reliable to look at just the actual trade support lines. For example, here I've set my alert here as the support line. meaning where the price couldn't go up beyond that. And it tried to go here, tried to do it here, there, didn't quite make it. So I look at support lines more than the actual indicators that I have in trying to make an entry. Ideally, it's when the entry lines, the entry points at a lower time frame allow me to zoom in and see when exactly is a good time. So after establishing a support line here, this morning at 8 o'clock, I thought, since it didn't even reach the Bollinger Band before it started crashing, I thought that's when it was going to happen. But it didn't. I kind of went in when the stock RSI was really low already, so that's already, I broke my own rule for that one. I jumped the gun and I paid the price. I saw the price jump up to 3,501. I was willing to lose another 40% return. Sorry, another 30% loss if it reached the ceiling and went over the ceiling. So of that support line. So sorry, of the resistance line. I was willing to make that bet, and luckily I was right. I've been losing so much lately. It's just going against the rules. I've been on the losing streak. I've been losing about 20 to 1, 20 losses to 1 win lately, just because, I'm jumping the gun, I'm getting emotional, I see the price going down with a lot of momentum, and, I get excited, jump the gun, go in early, or go in late, and it just doesn't happen. So, 1 second. Plug in my computer. So, as I was saying, I've been jumping the gun, getting emotional into all the trades that I've been getting into, breaking all the rules that I've established, and keeping it real, because I gotta, face that reality. I've gotta face that emotional challenge. I feel like I'm, gonna miss out, and so that's why I do it. I just jump in too early. So that's been my own fault why I've been experiencing all those losses. But we're in it again. I can show you what I've been doing. I lowered my leverage to 10%. Before I was trading 20, 15% and breaking the rules, which hasn't been the best thing to my return. So, right now I've got about $120 out of 200 that I started with left, and now I've made a gain of $24, 28% return, which is pretty good. So I'm gonna wait. I think now is not the time to keep going. There hasn't been exactly a crossing outside this Bollinger Band on the 5-minute, so I think the momentum is still pretty steady. There's a really strong momentum going down on the 3-hour, as you can see. This really big candle here defines that, and momentum is classified under the MACD. Jumps from a value of, negative 23 to negative 90. That's a big jump on that bar, so it's a pretty strong way downwards. I'm going for my exit to be down here at 28,582. So that's when I'll set my take profit. If we look at the daily, not until 25. Actually, it's 25,270 at the moment. So, you know, there's a bit of, on the daily, there's a resistance line here. The resistance came at 28,688. That's exactly bottom Bollinger Band, where this is the resistance that I was talking about there. So I think, I don't know if I should, you know, take profit here. I'm gonna just wait on it. On the 3 hour, there's a resistance. There's a support line here, sorry. And so far, you know, I think it's just easier to take that take profit at 28,601. So I'll just set an alert. Instead, drag this baby down. Wait till it crosses there. That way I don't have to keep looking at the damn thing every time. But we'll see. We'll see. I'll definitely pull out when this bottom RSI hits the floor on 0. Just so I can take another opportunity to wait for it to come back up. And hits that 100 mark, I'll be looking at it again, like I said before, of when to make another entry.